why they do it this way, but they have the gold in their balance sheet on the asset side and the revaluation account, which mirrors it on the liability side. The rule is you can't offset a liability with your gold, and for whatever reason, it's still valued at $35 an ounce across all of Europe, as an example. The Bretton Woods number. Now, I'm not sure. I used to know. I mean, it's been so long that why they moved the U.S. price up to 42.22. I don't remember exactly why, but suffice it to say, the official price in the United States is 42.22 on the books.
In today's news recap, geopolitical tensions drive silver prices higher, more gains ahead. Silver price showed an upward trend, reaching an intraday high of $27.57 an ounce. Geopolitical tensions and expectations of Federal Reserve rate cuts have bolstered silver prices. Conflicts in the Middle East have heightened concerns of a broader regional conflict, supporting safe haven assets like silver. Anticipated Fed rate cuts have further boosted silver's price. However, the upward momentum may be challenged by positive risk sentiment and a strong U.S. dollar, which typically limits silver's gains. U.S. dollar strengthens amid inflation data and Fed rate cut expectations. The U.S. dollar is gaining strength despite market expectations of a 25 basis point Fed rate cut in September, with some anticipating a larger 50 basis point cut. This dollar strength is likely driven by anticipation of upcoming U.S. inflation data. However, this boost may be short-lived due to the expected rate cut and overall optimistic market sentiment. In a risk-on environment where investors are more willing to take risks, safe haven assets like the U.S. dollar typically face challenges. Despite various factors supporting the dollar and preventing significant declines, Fed Governor Michelle Bowman noted on Sunday that the Fed might not be ready to cut rates in September, citing inflation risks and a strong labor market. However, this has not significantly boosted the U.S. dollar or impacted silver prices. Looking ahead, investors are cautiously awaiting key U.S. inflation data before making major decisions on silver. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a silver bug.
Why people even question how gold's strength it's been so resilient, and Bitcoin corrected and the market sold off, yet gold's been so resilient. And I guess my point, Dunnigan, would be, how many more times do you need to hear this before it sinks in? Again, another record being made. First 6 months of the year of 2024 represent the most gold central banks of the world have ever purchased, ever. And it only superseded last year's first 6 months. And you, at the top of the list, you have Turkey and India, of course, China, you have Poland. And it reminded me of something that, and I went and I dug this up because a couple years ago, Adam Glapinski, who still is the head of the Polish Central Bank, said something very interesting. In my mind, he tipped his hand, because in 2021, he said, and I'm going to read this to you, he says, he was trying to explain why they were expanding the country's gold reserves by 100 tons. And when he announced the plan to expand it, he said the following. He said, "Our gold reserves are a matter of financial security and stability. Gold will retain its value even when someone cuts off the power to the global financial system, destroying traditional assets based on electric accounting records. Of course, we do not assume that this will happen, but the saying goes, forewarned is always insured, and the central bank is required to be prepared for even the most unfavorable circumstances. That is why we see a special place for gold in our foreign exchange management process." And here again, they're buying truckloads. I don't know if any of you have seen that movie that the Obamas produced. I didn't know they produced it till after I watched it. It's quite frightening, actually. It's a movie where the whole grid goes down and the internet goes down and the ability to communicate goes down, and how fast things go pear-shaped. And you can only imagine, when you contrast something like what Glapinski is saying with the Microsoft outage recently, and then even more concerning to me, it's interesting. You see the insider sell so much leading into the end of the second quarter, right? And then we see the biggest one-day drop on the Nikkei, a massive drop in South Korea and in other parts of the world, and the biggest number drop ever in the Dow. Of course, they're all out. But when that happens, all of those exchanges go dark. Robinhood and whatever. What am I trying to say? Vanguard and TD Ameritrade, all of these, and Schwab, and they all go blank, right? At the same time. What are the odds? And when you hear him say something like this, it brings back to, I think it really underscores the whole point of counterpart liability, of what would happen if the grid went down. We keep hearing about that, little pieces, EMP and grid and electric and this movie, and how everything is it's all digits on a computer screen, including the banks. So I don't know. I thought that was kind of interesting that he said that. But here again, you got the central banks buying more gold than at any time ever. But this has been something that I've been saying to you since 2020 now, over and over and over and over again. And it goes back to what you and I were talking about before we turned on the camera, about the little man rule and how the big guy's always ahead of the curve. Well, there is no bigger guy than the central banks, not only in wealth, but in understanding and in foresight and in the playbook. I think it's very illuminating. And then, of course, you have the Dutch National Bank, who I've talked a lot about, and the revaluation accountant. He recently said this has been a political decision. If there is a financial crisis, the gold price will skyrocket, and official gold reserves can be used to underpin a new gold standard, according to the Dutch National Bank. Little crumbs that are laid at our feet. Well, you got the heads of central bank, one guy saying that it allows you to start over with a new gold standard, and another guy saying that it allows us to protect ourselves against the grid going down, in essence, and everything is digital. I mean, what more does a guy need to hear? And then when you see the central banks buying it at a level the world has never seen, and you see the exchanges all in unison suffer the same issue the day that the market goes down, it's like, are these tests? Are these warnings? Are these crumbs? I don't know. You tell me. This is where I try and take all of these things and put them together. My mind goes right to it. Hell yeah, this is a warning. This is a test. This is a omen. And listening to them say these things, how do you not think that? I think the old statement, you don't own it if you don't hold it. I don't know that I really believe that, but there is something to be said for the elimination of any and all counterparty risk.
In today's news recap, silver climbs 1.6% as geopolitical tensions grow. The price of precious metals grew on Monday as mounting geopolitical tensions appeared to have increased the appetite for safe haven assets. Ukrainian forces are confirmed to have made a surprise incursion into border regions in Russia last week, seemingly raising concerns about the further escalation of the conflict, which started in February 2022. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky earlier noted that Kyiv is awaiting approval from Washington, London, and Paris to use their long-range capabilities on Russian territory. Pentagon previously underlined that Ukraine's operation in Russia's Kursk region was consistent with Washington's policy. While Moscow ordered the evacuation of another region, Belgorod, near its border with Ukraine, amid the growing turmoil. Silver rose 1.65% to trade at $27.90 an ounce. Gold added 0.36% to trade at $2,439. And other commodities like platinum also had modest gains. Now we'll show you the best clips of the latest interview, but first hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with a silver bug. Enjoy the episode.
Look what they're doing right now in Australia. They're talking about having to provide identification before you can use social media so that the police can monitor all the accounts in case someone says something bad, or in the UK, they'll throw you in jail. And even if you're in the United States, they'll try to extradition if you say something offensive to the crown. I mean, it's like it's crazy. You know, you remember when you and I first met, Dunnigan, and we started doing this stuff during COVID, and the very, very beginning, I couldn't even say that word on your show back then. And it was the little by little, when I think about how little by little then all at once applies. I mean, censorship is a good example. Like in our life, that was never an issue. And then little bits of it kept creeping in and creeping in and creeping in. And now In Australia, they want to censor everything you say online, and they propose providing all sorts of identification before you can access an account and giving police access to it. I mean, it's like little by little these things happen, always in the name of security. And you know, what did Ben Franklin say? I'm going to butcher the heck out of it, but you know, you give up some freedom in the name of security, you never get it back, something to that extent. Just like, you know, just like 9/11 and taking your shoes off, unless you're TSA pre-check, you never get that back. Same thing is true here. I don't know. I think it is very concerning, and that is certainly another reason to distance yourself, if at all possible, from the matrix in a legal way. It'll wipe out the industry, and it will. I mean, you get a pension that says, I want to put $200 million in metals. I'm dead serious about it. What are you going to do? It's too big for us. No, of course not. And it's real. And I think those are the people that are waking up, because these are the people that are seeing very large swings in their asset values, in their net worth. And, you know, the wealthy own assets. The wealthy have bank accounts, sure, but the wealthy own lots of assets. And the swings on the up have been fantastic. But I think when they see the swings on the down, they get very nervous. And if you take a practical look at things and you are actually honest with yourself, you look at the state of the world and where it could be. To ignore, to only focus on a mainstream mantra is foolhardy. All it takes is for one of these people to have their eyes open to some of the real numbers and the real reporting that you do with all of your guests every day. Watch one of those videos and their whole, it's just a poof moment. And then they realize that they better do something. And as we grow nearer to such a pivotal moment, like the big BRICS meeting in October, and of course, the elephant in the room, the election in November, I think people are beginning to kind of reflect a little bit upon what the future looks like. So yeah, I think it will happen. I really do. And when you look at the situation, if you're just honest with yourself, you know, it started in the UK. They tried to normalize, well, it started with us in 2019. We tried to normalize the balance sheet, and you get the reverse repo, or you get the repo market blow up and everything goes upside down, they pivot. And then you get the UK, they try to austerity and normalize their balance sheet, and their pensions almost blow up, they pivot. And then you get us raise rates to 5%, and the banks start blowing up, and now we're talking about pivoting. And you get the Japanese who do this and raise rates just a little bit, and strengthen the yen just a little bit, and everything blows up and they pivot. This is a situation that has been created by messing with Mother Nature, by suppressing interest rates globally for so long, creating and incentivizing so much debt that the bill has to be paid. And you're beginning to see that there are very few outs. It's either succumb to inflation or let the system blow up, continue to print and give in to inflation, or let the system blow up. And that's what you're seeing in all these Western systems, that we're teetering. And I don't know, it just goes to show how fragile the whole ecosystem really is.
What do you think of Andy Schectman's take? Will the East versus West war end up in a massive gold and silver price squeeze? Will the dollar collapse in 2025 as the BRICS nations take over? Share your honest opinion in the comments section down below. Send a super thanks if you find our recaps valuable, and make sure you see this video right here because it's a perfect fit for you. I see you on the other side.